What's up, guys? This is Bobby Douglas, and we are back with another 2020 NBA Draft Prospect full game video breakdown. And today we're going to be taking a look at Illawarra Hawks point guard LaMelo Ball. Obviously, LaMelo Ball has come with a lot of fanfare over the past 3 or 4 years, starting with Chino Hills and then going to Lithuania. Then they had the whole JBA. Then he ended up at Spire in Ohio, and then obviously in Australia this past season, where he actually turned in a pretty decent campaign, was the NBL Rookie of the Year, averaged 17 points per game along with 6.8 assists and 7.6 rebounds. Granted, on really low shooting numbers, but I expect that to improve. And I hope this video is a good indicator of why I think he should be the number one pick in the 2020 NBA draft. And he does have a triple-double in this game. It's against Cairns. And so I'm excited to get into it with you guys. I hope you guys enjoy this. And yeah, let's get right to it. So again, this video is going to start a little bit late. It's around the first 25 seconds were missing, but nothing really happened. But he's going to get an assist right out of the gate here. So let's watch it. So again, he's going to come. And again, his dribble moves are very solid. Let's see what he does here. And again, that's a really high-level pass. I think it probably took a deflection. But again, just seeing that and sneaking it through that window, it's very impressive. So we got that to start with LaMelo. And obviously there are a lot of concerns about his game. You know, the overall apathy on defense, the lack of effort on both ends, the lackadaisical nature of his overall game when it comes to offense and defense. Shot selection's not great right now. And so there are definitely a lot of concerns, but my main reason for having LaMelo number one on my big board is really it just comes down to the star potential that he does possess. I think he has the singular best skill in the entire draft class with his passing ability and vision. And so when I look at all these players, when I look at an Anthony Edwards, when I look at a Tyrese Halliburton, a James Wiseman, players like that, and Obi Toppin, when I look at those types of players and then I compare LaMelo Ball, he's the only one where I see legitimate all-star ability and potential. The rest of them, I really have to talk myself into. LaMelo Ball, his ability and potential really just pops off the screen with his high-level passing and his pretty peaceful transitions into his pull-up shooting. And then obviously that 6'8 frame for a point guard is really, really encouraging as well. So that's basically the overview of why I have LaMelo number one. Right there, we saw him struggle to get over that screen. It's going to lead to a nice roll from that big man. But again, Melo, this game had a very strong game. Right there, he just had that pass on a rope to an open big man, and it ultimately led in a dunk. So that was a very solid pass from LaMelo right there. And again, he's going to make a lot of those full court passes, a lot of really interesting half court passes as well. And again, the vision is there clearly. The execution passing-wise is also there. A lot of his turnovers come off the live dribble rather than getting passes picked off or things like that. So I really do like his overall game, and then the passing ability is just transcendent in this NBA. I really think that's the best overall skill that we're going to see in this draft, and I'm really excited to watch it develop as the years go by. So again, he's off the ball right now, and again, he's a guy who can play defense when he wants to, just he never really wants to. And so a lot of his mistakes are really just effort-based. Right there, doing a nice job boxing out his man and then getting that rebound. Now he's going to bring the ball up the floor. Let's see what he does here. And again, so a lot of it, let's see what he does here. So again, good job taking advantage of the space. He abused the drop coverage in the pick and roll. Missed a shot, but hustled, got his offensive rebound. He's going to find a teammate for an open shot right there. So I like that about his game. I mean, he's obviously a triple-double threat every night on the floor. Was very consistent in NBL play, but you have to realize that he's still only a 19-year-old kid. He's still growing into his body. Obviously, he's had maturity questions throughout his high school career and obviously still to this day. So when I'm watching players like LaMelo, I buy the upside, and I'm willing to take gambles on the weaknesses that he does have. So again, right there, we just saw another dime. That was a one-handed baseball pass from the other free throw line, and he hit his open shooter right in the hands, just missed the shot. But again, it's those types of passes that really set him apart, because not only does he have the vision to see them, but he also has the physical passing skills to execute them at a very, very high rate. Looks like we got an and one here, so I'll skip this. And he's going to bring up the ball here. Let's see what he does. Again, he's got a pretty nice handle. He tends to get a little bit cute with the ball at times, leading to really dumb and unforced turnovers. He averaged around 2.5 a game, which is a little bit more than I would like. That time couldn't really get separation. But I do think, I hesitate to say this, but looking back on it, I may consider him a better prospect than Lonzo was, and I hate to bring up Lonzo's name in anything regarding LaMelo. Let's see what he does here. So right there, just an example of just being a little bit too loose with the ball. Got it cleanly stripped from the free throw line on the fast break. That was a good job actually getting back, though. I like that he sprinted back. He recognized number 12 sprinting down the lane. He was just a little bit late, but I do like that he recognized that and hustled back. I don't think he would have done that last year. But I think in terms offensively, in terms of a more versatile game, I think he's probably a better passer and will be a better scorer than Lonzo. Right there, we saw another assist from him. And so a lot of people compare him to Lonzo Ball. I think that's a fair comparison, but I think LaMelo has a lot more shake and wiggle to his game in terms of his drives. Right there, did a decent job cutting off the baseline, even though it's going to lead to an open three after he left his man, but I understand the sentiment there. But again, he's not really like his brother in terms of, how he operates with the basketball. Lonzo was a lot more stiff as a passer. He was still a very good passer, but he was a lot more stiff. Didn't really have that shake or wiggle. LaMelo has that. So when you're looking at franchise-type players and people who could just score at will, I'm not saying LaMelo will ever get there, but I'm saying he has the tools in place to be able to do that. Obviously, the shot's a concern. Again, 35.5% from the field and 25% from three. That's not good, and I'm not saying it is good, but I'm saying, you look at, I'll get it here. Let's see. Yeah. But you just look at the overall, skill profile that LaMelo has, and I really buy that. So let's see what he does here. Gonna get the ball at the top of the key. Looks like he's trying to break his man down off the dribble. Another pretty solid pass out to the key. Top of the key for a three-point attempt. Not really much happening there, though. And it's a missed. So let's see what he does here. Again, defensively, discipline, obviously, it's not that great. Right there, probably shouldn't have dug down, and it's going to lead to an open three. And again, he's rarely in his stance off the ball. A lot of times he'll be caught standing up, ball watching, things like that. Definitely needs to work on his effort and discipline on that end. But the thing is, though, with LaMelo, with how well he sees the floor offensively, I think he could develop into a very, very good team defender because I think that vision goes both ways. And so I think while he hasn't really shown it, I think his defensive upside and potential is relatively high. And we saw right there another assist for LaMelo. He got his man open for a kick-out three. Right there, grabbed the rebound, and now he's going to push the pace. And again, this is where he's very special. And right here, you just saw right there again. So another criticism of LaMelo in terms of scoring, he tends to avoid contact. And with that 6'8" frame, there's really no reason to. And you saw right there, he avoided contact. He was worried about the defender blocking his shot or hitting him. And he ultimately just kind of short-armed his layup, and it was a miss, which that should have been an automatic make for him. So he does have a little bit of that to work out. I think since his frame is so encouraging, and I think he has the potential to add strength, I think he'll improve on that end right there. Nice, solid off-the-dribble jump shot. And again, it doesn't really go in that often, but the tools and the look is there. The form is weird. It's kind of a push shot from his chin. So right there, he kind of got lost, eventually turned around right there. That time just totally, again, was anticipating the screen too much, allowed his man to go right by him. But the form is weird, right? It's a shot from the chin. It's almost a two-handed push shot. But it flows nicely, so it doesn't look awkward when he's shooting it outside of the form. He's very comfortable taking step backs, off the dribble, pull up jump shots, things like that. So I'm really not super worried overall about him getting his shots. I think he'll get his shots. It's just a matter if he makes them. Let's see, right there, he threw another one-handed baseball pass to the top of the key. He's going to get the ball back here. He looked like he wanted to pull from there. That time probably shouldn't have left his feet. Not the smoothest pass right there, but it was a hockey assist for Ball. And again, you're talking about a guy who can be devastating in pick and roll if he can really knock down that outside shot and get that worked out. So again, the potential really, I think, is through the roof for LaMelo. And so, I'm excited to watch him grow. In the coming years. Going to get a screen, another solid pass. And again, this Illawarra team wasn't good. They were one of the worst teams in the NBL. I'm pretty sure this team they're playing right now is the only team that's worse than them. So that's just something to keep in mind. But, it still is professional basketball. And again, he played better than RJ Hampton, I would say, So that's something to consider as well. And this game goes into overtime, so there will be 3 videos with LaMelo. So again, here he is with the ball in his hands. Again, that's a deep 3 from the logo, and he's going to knock that one down. So again, he has the confidence, which you like. Sometimes the confidence tends to go a little bit too far, and he'll take some really bad, questionable shots. But right there, he's never going to be a guy who's discouraged from his percentages, which I think in normal circumstances, that's a good thing. So I do like that about his game. I like that he's super confident with the ball in his hands. I like that he's able and willing to pull up from anywhere. And you saw right there, that was probably a few feet behind the NBA line. So, he definitely has that range. It's just a matter of ironing it out a little bit more and getting it to be a more consistent shot as a whole. Got another 3. And so here he is. He's on the ball right here. And again, so his mechanics weren't really that great right there, but he has the overall foot speed and just agility to stay with guys. As you saw right there. That time he showed a decent example of his awareness. Again, stunted and then got back to the shooter in the corner. But again, he has all the physical tools you need to defend. It's just a matter of consistently applying them. And you saw that deep 3 again right there. I think we're going to get free throws here. So again, he's just trying to break this man down off the dribble. Nothing really going on. He is a guy, though, who will pound the ball into the floor a little bit too often. Kind of searching for that assist, kind of what the criticism of Rajon Rondo was for a lot of years and still kind of is. And so he's almost selfishly unselfish at times, just kind of looking for assists and stats. Here's LaMelo. Again, that's a really peaceful transition into a pull-up 3 off the dribble as well. And honestly, he just drilled that. So again, his form is very weird. Has a tendency to jackknife it, bringing his lower legs in front of his release. And honestly, the form is just weird in general because it looks very undisciplined. He's never completely on balance. But honestly, if you look at some of the best shooters in the NBA, I'm not saying he'll become one of those. But if you look at some of the best shooters in the NBA, you look at Steph Curry, guys like that, they don't really have traditional forms either. Reggie Miller doesn't have a traditional form. So, the form thing is more for guys who struggle with it as long as their jump shot looks okay. LaMelo Ball with him, I think he shoots enough threes. I think he has enough volume in that regard where he can probably get away with any form he likes as long as it just goes in enough. And obviously right now it hasn't. But I think as he just gets a little more in tune with his own ability, I think he'll start to see a lot more success. And again, the shot selection for LaMelo is a huge issue as well. So his percentages don't really entirely show his overall shooting touch. And again, it is kind of perplexing for somebody with such a high basketball IQ in terms of passing that he continues to take such horrible shots. And so that's something to look at as well. So it is kind of interesting. So it does make me at least hope that, he'll turn into a better offensive player. And that's the end of the first quarter. But before that, you kind of saw him just let his man go backdoor on him. Again, that's just kind of lazy. And so just needs to get a little bit more aware on the defensive end. I don't think that will be an issue for him in the future, though. And we got the second quarter coming up here. Looks like we got LaMelo Ball. Wasn't really involved on that possession offensively. And again, for a guy who was really in the spotlight since he was 14 years old, and again, he wasn't even 6 foot when he first burst onto the national scene because of Lonzo and LiAngelo. I do think he's handled himself well to the point where he's not a total flameout. I mean, he does have a reckless style of play. It could be a little selfish at times, undisciplined, you would say. But I mean, to put yourself in position to be the number 1 overall pick in a draft is very, very impressive. So, you do got to give a lot of credit to LaMelo for just dealing with all the crap that he gets from his home life, obviously with his father, and then his 2 NBA brothers as well, or 1 NBA brother. Right there, shot selection, not really great. Turnaround, mid-range fadeaway, just got blocked. Not a fan of that shot at all. So again, let's see what he does here. Again, that's a good finish. And again, with that passing ability that he has, there are going to be a lot of times where the Red Sea just parts and he's going to have clear lanes to the basket, like we just saw right there. It was a 3-on-2 situation, and the defenders were so right there, just not a great defensive effort. It looked like he was trying not to foul, but there's no reason to. He put his hands behind his back and just let his man go by. But as I was saying, though, with that layup that we just saw, I want to see if we're going to see it again. Doesn't look like it. But with that layup we just saw, because of his passing ability, the defense is really in a bad position if it's a 3-on-2, because the way the spacing worked out, there were 2 guys in opposite corners, and they were more worried about the 3 than the 2, and they kind of weren't really ready to commit to LaMelo, and he just got a free reign to the basket, and ultimately finished with a nice layup. So but again, anyone who says LaMelo is basically Lonzo 2.0, don't listen to them. They are not correct. Right there, would have liked to see a little bit more on-ball activity or off-ball help activity there, but layup was missed. But LaMelo just has so much more flash and just overall quickness and speed and lateral movement. Way better off-the-dribble shooter, can get to a mid-range game a lot better than Lonzo could. So the prospects are so different. So please don't compare LaMelo to Lonzo. The only thing that they have in common, A, that they're brothers, and B, that they're tall point guards who are very good passers. Other than that, not really much similar between the 2 players. And the thing is, LaMelo Ball doesn't really have an NBA comparison. I've been trying to think of one, and none of them really seem right. Because, again, he's a 6'8" point guard. Right there, just allowed his man to go by him for the rebound. I would have liked to see a box out right there. But, again, there really is no comparison for LaMelo. Let's see what he does here. Right there, good job getting to the line. And actually, that time he did a nice job getting into the contact. That's not something he did consistently at Illawarra this season, but I do like the flash that he showed right there. And we'll see him shooting free throws, where he was a 72.3% free throw shooter. Obviously not great, but it's not discouraging as well. And again, that's a good indicator of whether or not the 3-point shot will ever come. But good job overall just drawing the contact right there. and we'll shoot free throws. Missed that one pretty badly too, honestly. And LaMelo's going to go out right here for about 7 minutes, so I will skip ahead there. 28:03 is when he comes back in. So he's in, and he's guarding the point guard right now. So again, right there showed really no help right there, and he probably should have. That was totally on him. And again, just the overall laziness and just the lack of care that he displays on the defensive end is just a little concern. No, I would say it's a lot more than a little concerning, but it's something that I do hope at least will be ironed out in the NBA as he gets into a more disciplined system. This was probably the closest thing he came to an actual solid system. I think other than that, I don't really think he had anything in terms of the structure that Illawarra brought him. So I ultimately think that this year was good for him. Still has a lot of things to work out right there. Nice job getting a rebound and an advanced pass, and so obviously a nice transition three-pointer. So I think hopefully once next year he gets another year in a structured environment, I hope he becomes a better player and a more disciplined player as well. That time he did a better job getting over that screen. Again, looked more engaged on that play. But again, right there you see him. He just kind of devolves into his standing up and just arms down, not really making any sort of effort to impact the play in any way. And honestly, all you need to do is to impact the play is just be in a stance, keep an eye on your own man, and then watch the ball as well. Be ready to help. Be ready to close out on a shooter. And LaMelo Ball just doesn't really have a desire to necessarily do that at a lot of times. So again, there are obviously concerns. I'm not arguing that, and I know this draft is so polarizing where a lot of you guys watching this will probably disagree with me, and you'll say that another guy is number one overall pick and the best prospect in this draft, and I can't argue with that. I can argue for LaMelo, but I can't argue with your reasoning behind another guy because this draft is just so wide open. So I'm not really going to sit here and argue talking points that we all know to be true. Just because this draft is so polarizing, there's no clear consensus number one guy. And, I'm pretty much, as long as you're not saying someone like, I don't know, I can't even think of a name. But as long as you're not saying someone absolutely absurd, I'm not really going to have any qualms with your decision or your viewpoint because, again, this draft is just such a crapshoot. And the more we watch, the more we question. So I'm going to be watching a lot more tape. And the more I watch, I might have a different number one guy. So there's really just this draft is going to be so much. There's so much uncertainty. So I could totally understand probably 5 or 6 guys being talked about for the number one overall pick. Good job switching and hard hedging right there, and LaMelo did a nice job. See, that was a pretty solid defensive sequence right there. So he hard hedged the pick and roll. Then a guy switched onto his man, and then once his teammate got beat, LaMelo Ball was right there for the baseline help. That was overall a pretty solid defensive sequence for Ball right there. So right now he's in the corner guarding someone. So you got a foul. So right there did a nice job collapsing once he saw the drive was going to be successful. Left his man on the corner, but in that situation I could see where you would. So right there was probably an example of a little bit of a lackadaisical pass that almost got picked off. That was a pretty good screen set from him on the baseline right there. That is a weird shot for him. And again, that's another thing he does well. We saw it as he pressured in the backcourt. He'll often just hang around in the backcourt after a missed shot and just try and catch the offense sleeping. And he actually gets a lot of steals that way and a lot of cheap buckets as well. So that's something he does do well. We just saw, even though it wasn't successful in that time. Again, there's the handle. Let's see what he see. That's just, again, no other player in the draft has that level of just shake, movement, and finishing that LaMelo has, I would say. And again, not a good percentage shooter, but you just saw, and again, his form looked really weird. He was totally off balance. He does this weird thing with his legs where he kicks them out, and then it looks like he's making a greater than sign with his shot. But again, it's just the transcendency that he brings to an NBA team, I think, is really special. Right there, that's not on him. And that's the end of the quarter. So that's the end of the first half. I'll pause this video here. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll be back for the second half video and overtime as well, as this game does go into overtime. So we'll see the second half, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we'll see you then.